Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back.
Don't we live in a really cool, beautiful place?
I love it. I love
We're
it.
so lucky. That's our backyard.
The only thing we're missing is an ocean.
Yeah, I know.
You know, that's the only thing we're really missing.
Thank goodness we travel.
Exactly. All right, folks, welcome back again. As you know, here we are. This is the podcast of Chuck and Alyce. And Alyce is here from Alyce and Little Bits Adventure. And it's all lovely, and I'm going a little crazy here with the faders and everything else, and you think by now I'd actually have this down, you know. Right. Anyway, and I've got the cameras all messed up because that's supposed to be us. And of course, you know, here we are. And I've finally got my camera a little bit better and a little bit more dialed in, so I'm not so overexposed. So
we're getting better and better each time. So
we are. Wow. We live in a tourist state.
We do.
We live in Colorado.
You haven't figured it out. We mentioned it a few times. But yes, we are Colorado native kids, actually legit natives.
Yeah, we are the real deal.
We're not transplants in. We are born and raised here. Even
though sometimes we act like we actually have come from somewhere else or done other things.
It's the beauty of being able to travel.
Well, there is
see
that.
Other places. So
there's that.
We get exposed to things, but we are Coloradoans.
Exactly. And being Coloradoans and living in a state where there's a lot of tourism almost year round.
Yeah.
We've learned quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll start out with some basic history.
Yes.
Some real basic history.
Real basic history.
Colorado at one time was a territory of the United States. We were granted statehood in 1876, so we are known as the Centennial State.
August 1st, 1876, to be exact. We were the 38th state in the Union to be brought in. Mm-hmm. And we are nicknamed the Centennial State because we were the 100 years after the country became a country.
That's right. The name Colorado is a Spanish name. It means color red, of course. The state or the area, the area was actually discovered by Spanish explorers in the, I want to say, the late 1500s to 1600s. The reason I say that is because I do know that Spanish explorers made it as far north as Cherry Creek. And they named it Cherry Creek. But of course it was later, changed to an English name of Cherry Creek because of the choke cherries along Cherry Creek.
Your favorite thing.
I love choke cherries.
Chuck loves him a choke cherry.
I love choke cherries. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Of course, Colorado is a fantastic state. It is rich in natural beauty. It's rich in mineral resources. Mm-hmm. It is rich in tourism as tourist resources. Yeah. If you can think of it, we do it here.
We can do it here, yeah.
I mean, pretty close to almost everything. I would even say, I was almost going to say, well, you can't surf, but
you can windsurf.
They do.
You can windsurf.
You can windsurf, but they also do surf or wakeboarding.
Yeah,
on the rapids.
Creek. Yeah, well, in Cherry Creek too.
Well, in Cripple Creek.
Yeah. All of the Because of if you can do a stage or class 5 rapid, you can probably wakeboard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's,
you know what's even bigger though? Instead of that, it's the kayaking and canoeing and the guys who
big
do
time.
that
Yes.
competitive. And that terrifies me. But
we've had competitions here,
Mm-hmm.
well, up in the foothills for it.
And natural rivers, not the man-made ones like they do for the Olympics. It's natural.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So the rocks that you almost hit will kill you. They are boulders.
It's not a sport that I would personally try.
No.
But
no.
I've watched people do it while picnicking along the river.
Oh yeah, indeed. I mean, again, that's something that, as you said, I would not do, but I've watched others do.
Other people can try it.
Let's see what else we got here.
So our history is long. It's pretty varied. We've got a lot of cultural influences, but we're a former Spanish territory. We're also part of the Louisiana Purchase.
And for a while, we were also Mexican territory.
So we've got a lot of, like I said, cultural influences in this part of the state, in this region. We also have a lot of Native American tribes that have been in the Plains Indians in here as well. But some of the big ones that are around here are the Comanche, Arapaho, and Utes, if that's correct. Help me.
Okay. Don't quote me on this.
We'll have to We'll put
it
in the
we will do the
reference.
research later and actually give you the list of them. But
there
from
are
what
a lot
I knew,
of Plains Indians though.
Ute, Apache, Arapaho, Lakota,
Comanche.
Comanche in the south.
In the south. Utes in the south.
No, Utes in the mountains.
Middle mountains and south.
In the central mountains. And then on the western slope, there's at least a few more.
Yeah. I mean, we're East Slope kids.
I want to say Nez Perce as well.
Probably. But we're East Slope kids, so my West Slope history is not as big as the East Slope.
Yeah, okay. Now, a little bit of nomenclature. We live on the Front Range. And what we call the Front Range is that eastern part of Colorado where Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, that area, the North Valley. Actually, it's Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, Longmont, that's the North Valley. But that whole area they call the Valley Highway, the I-25 corridor. Mm-hmm. That's all Front Range. And we are called the Front Range because we face the east. And we are on the east side of the Continental Divide.
And that all of the plains are on what would be considered the front side of the mountains.
Exactly. And
as you're coming to it from the east.
Yeah. And then we have what we call our divide area.
Yeah.
Our divide area is that central portion of Colorado that runs from the northern border down to the southern border along the Rocky Mountain Range that also has the Continental Divide there. And that's the divide area. And then after that, on the western side, we call that the western slope. Mm-hmm. That's where Grand Junction, Fruita, Rifle,
Cortez.
Yeah, all those towns and such. We'll get into a little bit of that. Excuse me, as well. I also want to let everybody know that yes, we live in Denver, which is known as the Mile High City. Denver itself, in varying feet and areas, is 5,280 feet above sea level. They even have a benchmark surveyor's coin or spike on the Capitol steps exactly at 5,280 feet.
May I add something to that?
Oh, you have to. Okay, this is where I'm going to out her. This one actually did tours at the Capitol.
Yeah, I was a state Capitol tour guide for 2 summers in college. And so on the front side of the Capitol, or what would be facing the mountains, the west side, there's a gold surveyor's mark, which is exactly 5,280 feet. 2 steps down, though, is an engraved step that says 1 mile above sea level. And they did that with a sextant. So when they first built the Capitol, they actually used a sextant to try and figure out where a mile above sea level was. Now, considering their technology, and they were 2-3 steps off, not bad, right? So, but when they did a revamp of the accurate measurements with a little bit more, like, I think it was in the early 70s when we were our centennial.
Yeah.
That's when they put the marker in, I believe. And then they were 3 steps off. Not bad.
Yeah, it was
not bad.
Of all things.
Yeah.
3
So
steps.
It's the exactly 1 mile above sea level is the gold marker, but 2 steps down has the mile high. So when you have a photo there, you actually have a caption to your photo that you're standing a mile above sea level. So it worked out.
Yeah. So a standard stair step is about 10 inches tall. So they were essentially 30 inches off.
30 inches off. Not bad.
That's
with a sextant and yeah.
That's
so.
I'm sorry, but that's pretty spectacular.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn cool.
But
okay.
Yes, we are the Mile High City. We sit at a mile above, and we already start pretty high up.
Yeah, but we're not the tallest
We're not the tallest point. No, that's a big feature of living in Colorado.
Yes. If anybody is familiar with mountaineering or mountain ranges or anything like that, the big deal for mountains is the 14ers.
14er.
And a 14er is that mountain peak that is at 14,000 feet above sea level or higher.
Or higher, yeah.
Colorado has 54 peaks that are above or at that mark or higher.
Higher, yeah.
The highest one is Mount Elbert, and it is at 14,437 feet. Mm-hmm. I have not been to the summit of Mount Elbert.
I don't believe I have either, because if you haven't, I haven't.
Yeah, but we have been to the summit of Pikes Peak.
We have, yes.
And that's up there.
And Mount Blue Sky.
Yes.
We've been on top of that one. I've been on to Mount Goliath.
Now, see, I wish I had gone on that one.
Katie and I did that one.
Yeah, I know.
We did that on a fun summer. It was great.
I wanted to do that one too.
It was her first 14er with me. And we were just walking. Like we were just totally on a hike.
You know what would be cool? And there's my next content idea. Probably for either later this summer or maybe next year when I'm stronger. Doing a 14er on a prosthetic.
Cool. A lot of people do it. You can do it too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I have to be careful. It is a challenge for me up at that kind of altitude. I have to really take it slow.
Well, because the air becomes rare.
There is none. And I mean, I already start off with an advantage to some people. So those who come to Colorado, you hear about altitude sickness. It is a real legit thing. So pro tip 7,528.
Yes.
You do have to be very aware of it. Take it slow. Drink a lot of water, and when you think you've drank too much water,
drink some more,
because it is actually the piece that does the best in helping out with those symptoms. You do have dehydration symptoms because you're breathing harder, and the more you breathe, the more you evaporate the water out of your lips and things. So you do need to hydrate. Okay. You can take some aspirin, take some ibuprofen or whatever to help out with the headache, but if you don't want to feel nauseous, drink the water.
Yes. At one time when I had been on the Lady Washington out of Seattle, which is a replica sailing ship from the late 1700s.
Yeah.
They talked about how to avoid seasickness. And it's the same philosophy here for altitude sickness. There are 3 things you need. Well rested, well fed, and hydrated.
Yeah.
Okay. So those 3 things. You must have all of those things. If you are missing one of those
components,
things, you will start to feel some bad things. So be aware. Please be aware. Let's see what else we got.
Well, and then so to wrap that up, if you're driving in or flying in, the second you hit Colorado, start drinking.
Yeah, start drinking
the
water.
Start drinking the water. Yes, like caffeinate, like coffee, tea, whatever.
Exactly.
You just get fluids in you because that'll help out a ton. So
exactly.
And you won't feel. But I mean, even us Flatlanders who go up to the mountains, it affects us too. So it's not like it's just a non-Coloradoan thing. It does. They are high up. You are high up, and there is no oxygen up there.
Exactly. I mean, when you start to power up that mountain and you hit timberline and you get there too fast.
Ooh.
Okay. Now there's another bit of nomenclature. Timberline. Okay.
Alpine, timberline, all of those things.
Timberline is where all the forest stops. Okay, where all the tall trees become very short trees, very small trees.
Krumholtzes, things like that.
Scrub oaks.
Yeah. Tiny things.
Yeah. Juniper.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Everybody hates juniper.
I'm allergic.
I hate juniper.
I'm allergic.
I hate it.
It makes me sick.
It smells like cat pee.
Well, it makes me sick.
I know.
Like physically, not just because it smells like
it smells like cat
cats.
pee.
It makes me,
smells like cat
my
pee.
body's like,
It will kill her.
That's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
So
it's got like I said. Like I said before we started,
it's gonna be a night.
It's gonna be a night because I'm silly tired. Okay.
Yay.
Yes, and
he's hydrating.
Yeah.
So what happens at that altitude is that there is not a lot of water, or the water that is available is actually frozen, and the top layer of ground is always hard and frozen.
Yep.
And because it is low oxygen, the plants are not, with the photosynthesis and that reproduction, it's slower up there. So the plants don't grow as tall.
Everything is small, slow, and efficient.
Yes.
Yeah.
And growing season up there is very short because you are at the top of the earth. If you want to, I said that to kids all the time. I'm like, our top of our mountains are the tops of the earth. When you summit a mountain, you are standing on top of the earth.
We are in nature's attic.
They blow their mind because they always think like Everest or something like that. And
well,
like,
okay, that's the penthouse.
The tallest part of the earth.
Yeah,
but
that's the penthouse.
You know, when you think about the terra firma, our mountains are the top of the earth.
Yeah, and and a small little aside. Last episode, when we were talking about Animal Kingdom, we brought up the fossil record. We are rich in the fossil record in this state. We have, oh my word, we have dinosaurs, we have ancient mammals, we have ancient sea life.
The Paleozoic ocean.
We have, you name it, we've got it. We've got it. Okay. We even have a town here in Colorado named Dinosaur.
Yes, we do.
And that is where Dinosaur National Monument exists. Okay.
We've been to that.
Yes, we have. But that should be an episode to itself.
Our Vernal, Utah trip.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun.
We drove.
Oh, yeah, we did. We drove across the state. And I think that's the longest that we have ever driven in Colorado as a family.
As a family, yeah.
Yeah. No, I take that back. You were way, way, way too little to remember, but Mesa Verde.
Yeah. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah. That was a 3 or 4 day trip, and we actually camped out on the road at one point.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. It's like I said, you were little.
Yeah,
you were little. That's where the story about me eating cherries and,
from. Okay.
Yeah, and fishing.
And the motorcycle guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Whose name was Chuck.
That's right. Chuck met Chuck.
Yeah. Chuck had a Honda. You meet the nicest people on a Honda.
Camping in Colorado. It's great.
I had to do it. So anyway, all right. The Front Range urban areas. I did list them earlier. Is Fort Collins, Denver Boulder area, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo.
Yeah, so that's north to south. He just listed that from north to south.
Yeah, and that's all along the I-25 corridor or I-25, the
Valley
interstate.
Highway, the interstate, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or
is.
the Purple Heart Highway, or I mean, it has so many names now.
You can go to Canada on it, can't you?
I don't know.
You go to Canada to Mexico on I-25?
I don't know if it does that.
Google it. Let's Google that later and we'll find out.
Yeah, well, and I will list it right here on if we are correct or not. Anyway, on the western slope, the urban areas, and this is going to be from the divide out to the western border.
To Utah.
Yeah. So essentially you got Vail, which is the biggest town. There are several small towns along the way that are honestly worth a stop and worth looking at. The next portion, or the largest area after Vail, is Glenwood Springs.
Such a good town. Great history in Glenwood. Oh my goodness. Hotel Colorado is stunning.
The history, the
Doc Holliday,
the natural beauty, and the geological things going on there.
It has a hot springs, natural hot springs in the middle of town, what they turned into a tourist trap pool.
One of the largest hot springs in the country.
Great. And it's got one of the most stunning hikes. It's tough. But one of the most stunning hikes, it's called Hanging Lake.
Oh,
beautiful.
okay. Chris Cat and I did that.
Oh,
it was worth every step.
Every step killed me. I was dying.
Oh yeah.
Again, because you're starting. What is it? 10,000 feet. You're starting there.
About 8. Actually,
and then you
8 or
get
9
to 10,000.
Yeah.
It's great, but it can be rough.
Yeah.
So it's
a climb.
Really beautiful hikes. Interesting side note though, if you've been following Colorado news, there was a huge forest fire that went through that area about 3 or 4 years ago. So there is a lot of recovery from that burn happening now. Awesome science going on, but it's just that there's, it has its challenges with that, and you get to see the burn recovery with that. So.
Exactly.
But Glenwood's great. I love Glenwood.
Yeah. Well, as you can tell, we have our favorite parts of Colorado. Glenwood is a fantastic place. After Glenwood Springs is Grand Junction, the Grand Junction Fruita area. Now, interesting, the Fruita area, they call it Fruita because peaches.
Yes.
Colorado peaches.
Colorado
peaches. And
Palisade
peaches, yeah.
Good stuff. And it has to do with the High Plains desert low water content and making them super sugary.
Yes.
And super sweet because it's not overwatered. So it really works those plants. The stone fruits really get concentrated sugars, make them nice and sweet.
Exactly. The peaches, the plums, the apricots. Yeah.
Colorado. I love Colorado plums. They're so good.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we made this, we told the story briefly about me eating cherries and fishing because cherries do pretty well here too. Real cherry, not the choke cherries. the Bing cherries, or the black cherries.
Cooking cherries.
Yes, exactly. Pie cherries.
Yeah.
So after all that, let's talk Denver.
Okay. We'll stay home for a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on the eastern slope. We're gonna stay on the Front Range, and just hang around the Capitol for a little bit. And since you are the one who knows the Capitol, you got things. So here we go. Okay. Alyce, cut loose.
So Denver was became officially the capital and territorial capital in about 1858. Help me with that.
It was found. Yeah, the state founded in 1858.
It became this. It was not the original capital of the territory. Colorado Springs was the original capital of the territory.
Oh, wait. Do
you have that?
I'm sorry.
Am I getting ahead of?
Just a little bit. Okay. The reason is because Colorado City gets involved in there too.
Colorado City was the first. Yes, and then Colorado Springs.
Yes.
And then it became Denver, and they wanted to bring it up to Denver because it actually has the nickname of being the Queen City. I know a lot of people associate that with St. Louis, but it is also one of Denver's nicknames is the Queen City.
Because the confluence.
The gateway to the west is also given to St. Louis, but when you get to the mountains, my brain just was like, talk about this and talk about this and talk about this. So it was territorial. One of the big pushes for people coming into Colorado was the gold rush. In 1849, you hear about the 49ers in California. Well, that big push because of people coming here, gold was actually found in our areas too. And the confluence of the Cherry Creek and the South Platte River, right near my job, is where one of the first places gold was found, and really encouraged people to come to Colorado. So a lot of folks were moving through, and one of the biggest challenges of moving to our mountains where big gold was found were getting across these peaks. So a great story is one of the big founders of Denver is Henry Brown, and he and his wife were moving through to get to the mountains, to get to Denver, and she's like, no. She got to the mountains and she was like, that was a hard pass. We're not doing that. So he decided to stay in Colorado and become a land baron, buying up a lot of territory, especially around in that what we would consider Capitol Hill now in Denver. So we're looking at between 18th, 19th to about 12th, 13th.
Right.
From Glenarm to about Colorado Boulevard. So I'm giving some kind of
that far east.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of the land that they put. Now, being the gentleman that he was, he began to build houses, and they're called the Browns, and they were for the Denver elite. And there was the Denver 20, the Denver 41, the Denver 21.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting into. I'm going
you're
deep.
getting a little bit esoteric
so
there.
it's all of the folks who were the society elite that were in Denver that would buy up the Browns. And so it was all of the really rich folks that would come in, and they're would considered old money, so to speak, but they were not as old as New York old money. They're the money that came in and found gold and settled down here.
Right.
In Mr. Brown's generosity, he actually gave the acreage and the land for us to build our capital.
Right.
So that way we had a set building already before we became a state. And that's when he just donated it in the 1858 time period.
Right.
And he gave them out the money to not only the land, but also start the building of the capital. And as citizens of the territory, they were putting in money as well, and which would build our capital. Our capital was actually mimicked and designed exactly like the Capitol in Washington, D.C. It's the same footprint, same floor plan, same thing. Senate on the south, Supreme Court chambers on the north, Congress or legislature on the west side. East side is all of the offices. That's exactly how the nation's capital is laid out. That's how ours is.
Okay.
Cool thing about our state capital, though, is that almost every single material except for two things in the original build were Colorado native materials. The brass and the white oak are the only two pieces in that whole building that are not from Colorado.
Yeah, that are not resourced.
That are not resourced in Colorado.
Yeah.
The marble that makes up the floors is from Marble, Colorado.
Yep.
The granite that makes up the outside of that building was quarried right outside of Aspen.
Yep.
There's some beautiful, all mined out of this original. There's none of it left. It's all in the Capitol. It's called Beulah Red Marble. It's from Beulah, Colorado.
Oh, yes,
it's the lower portions of all of the walls on the first floor. It is beautiful stuff. There's none of it left. They brought it all to bring into the Capitol.
It's all gone.
Yeah. So all of the materials, like I said, besides the white oak to make the wood pieces and the doors and all of the exterior doors to the building and the offices are that white oak, and then the brass to go up the staircases came from other places. The brass came from Ohio. The white oak came from Great Smoky Mountains. I'll have to double check that. But anyway, it is all a native piece, including the gold on top of our dome.
That's all Colorado gold.
Leadville gold. And the miners from Leadville came and pooled their resources together and donated the ounces. It's only 23 ounces of gold up there.
Yeah, I believe it.
And they pound it out and then they tap it down. The last time it was tapped down was, I believe, 2000.
Right.
And it had been done in the early 80s right before that.
Right.
So it lasted a long time. Underneath it is copper. So the gold leafing is on top of copper, and they tap it down and then they do a little electricity to bond it. But that is.
Yeah, it's electroplated.
Pretty much. Originally, the building was heated through convection heating. So there's in the basement, there's on the two wings, there's actually holes in the floor that go all the way up to the third floor. And they would wheel in carts of hot coals under those holes in the floor, and the heat would be raised up, and the convection movement of the air in the building would pull that heat up, and that's how the whole building was heated.
Mm-hmm.
There are tunnels that actually run between the Capitol and all of the state buildings around the edge. So there's tunnels to the Education Building and the new Supreme Court building and all of the outlying buildings that the government officials would go to, so they didn't have to walk outside and get their suits all gross and muddy and snowy during when session is, because our session runs from the first Wednesday in January till about the first Wednesday in May. It's a 120-day session, and our state government are part-time individuals. They are not full-time individuals. And there's a constitutional law that they have to get all state business done within that 120 days.
Yes, there is.
They can have a special session, but special sessions are very rare and do not happen as often as you'd think. So our state government is pretty efficient in its running, and they're getting it done in that 120 days.
Exactly. And that is actually a wonderful thing. I do have a little aside.
Yeah.
When I was working for Pony Express, it was a delivery company that used to exist. It does not any longer. It was actually a security delivery company. We had a contract with the Denver Capitol that we would deliver packages from the state Supreme Court building and also run them through to the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
part of my route was running that tunnel.
I've been in the tunnels too.
Yeah.
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 I've also been in the attic. There's actually an attic space between the second floor and the third floor. And that's where, so all the chandeliers in the big rooms are crank driven. They're not electrical. And still to this day, they're crank driven. So in order to lower the chandeliers in the Supreme Court chambers, the legislature, and the Senate, they have to go into the attic and crank them down, wipe them off, clean them off, and then they crank them back up.
Yeah,
I've been in there too. It's pretty cool.
The winches are not electric.
No.
Yeah. The chandeliers are.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have to hand crank them up and down.
Right.
So
anyway, that's the Capitol, and that is my sister. And there was a time.
More to say, but I've got, I'm like,
I was going to say we are.
I can't see the time, and
we're already 30 minutes in.
I could do a whole thing on the state capitol. It is one of my favorite buildings.
Why don't we make that part 2?
Well, no.
Why don't you do it?
Everybody loves it.
Why don't you do it on your channel?
We'll see.
Yeah, come on. I'll edit the video for you.
It is a beautiful, beautiful building. I love it. It is, the stained glasses in there are of all Colorado notable people. We have a ring of fame that are prominent Colorado historical folks. There's, Chief Ure, who was a Ute chief.
Yep.
That was the great peacekeeper, and he was the one who helped facilitated the peace between the native tribes and the white people coming in, and making sure that there was understanding and peace. It wasn't always a contentious type of settling. He worked really hard at that. We're not perfect. We have bad history.
We do.
We have some really negative things because,
we'll touch on that in later episodes.
It is not perfect, but at one, there was a big drive to have understanding happen.
There was.
And
it
made a lot of big things happen. So
exactly.
The elevator doors have all of the state symbols stamped on them. All of the door knobs have the state seal of Colorado on them.
Yep.
So.
All right, so that's the Capitol.
It's a cool building.
That's the Capitol
building. I love
building.
Our building. Senate.
It's wonderful.
Senate is my favorite room.
I have to agree.
Beautiful.
I have to agree. When Mom took me to go visit the house in the Senate, that was a particular summer where I had just gotten into ink drawing.
Yeah.
And decided I was gonna. This was right after middle school.
Yeah.
Right after I left middle school that summer. And I started doing the ink drawing and started getting into editorial cartoon kind of things.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It's great.
I sat there for hours, and of course Mom was helping out Beth, who was a lobbyist at that time.
Mom also lobbied. So our mom was a lobbyist, a volunteer lobbyist for the State Accountability Committee.
Exactly.
So we got to, the things we got to do when we were little. We got to go to the Capitol and hang out with her and meet senators and legislators and have lunch in the basement of the Capitol.
Actually, not a bad lunch either.
No. Trust me,
not a bad lunch.
Every summer.
I know
summers
you.
Every day.
I know.
So it's a really cool building, and the fact that we appreciate history, we appreciate how our government is set up, both state and nationally, and we're educated and literate in that, and watching it happen and watching elected officials do what they've been elected to do is, I think, something that soapbox. I think people need to see that a little bit more in action to really get a grasp of how it works.
You're not wrong.
How is it flawed? Absolutely, because it's a human thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Humans are involved.
Indeed.
But is it terrible? No, it's actually, John Adams, good on you, man.
Exactly.
His whole, that was really how he came up with that idea, and then how it was refined after he came up with the idea. Anyway, I'm going off on things, but there you go.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd, and there you get a lot of my nerddom. It's not just animal nerddom. It's like a lot of other nerddom. So, yay me.
I just noticed my sound effects weren't working.
No, that's okay. So that's our state capitol, everybody. It's located right downtown at like 14th and Broadway.
Yep.
Across the street from the City and County building of Denver and Civic Center Park.
Which is a building that every holiday.
Beautiful. On the other side of the city and county building, as you look to the west, is the Denver Mint.
Yep.
Because we mint pennies here. So
we mint coins, pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters.
Well, we don't do quarters anymore.
Really?
Pennsylvania does the quarters.
Interesting.
We do.
And I better hang on to all the quarters that have the D's on them.
Because I think we mainly do nickels and pennies now. Pennies for sure. But anyway,
okay.
It's a great tour.
Oh, it is. It's a lot of fun.
Another thing to do in Denver, if you want to go see how our money's made.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
to the Denver Mint.
that whole campus.
Yes.
Okay. The city and county buildings, the Civic Center, that every Christmas they do a lighting of the city and county building that they leave up until after stock show. Which is about mid-January.
Yeah.
And the reason is because all those cowboys that came to town,
come to big city,
they need to see the Christmas lights.
Christmas lights.
So,
and it's kind of a Denver tradition too, or Colorado metro area tradition,
right,
that you leave your house, your Christmas decorations up or your holiday decorations up until after stock show as well. So houses stay lit up.
Oh yeah.
Trees stay up. You know,
there have been several times where we have left things up. I think there's maybe once or twice where we actually took everything down the week after Christmas. And
it was more just because we were going to be way busy, so we just did it.
It was just going to get stupid. So yeah, we took it down because there's just for crying out loud. But that was something that we did. That whole campus is just fantastic. They have the amphitheater there is very Greco-Roman architecture or neoclassical.
Yeah.
I will say neoclassical, and the reason is because, I mean, it's given that nod back to the birthplace of democracy. Party line.
It's just like where, people having a voice for their government comes from. And
exactly.
That's what it's honoring.
So it's very Athenian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we call it, the natives in the area call it the Greek amphitheater.
Well,
and you know exactly where you're talking about. It's the Greek amphitheater.
I've had photo shoots there. I've taken photos there. I've had photos of me taken there. It's fantastic.
It's gone through some things.
It's going through some things.
And it's going through some things, but it is definitely a place that you want to see. And in the summer, it's beautiful and green and flowery, and it's awesome.
It's a beautiful space.
It's a great space. So
yeah, and you got to the south, you got the Denver, you got the Supreme Court. I think the state Supreme Court.
State Supreme Court, and then the Denver Public Library, which is a really cool building.
Right.
And then the Denver Art Museum.
Right. Also, don't forget about the Colorado History Museum.
Museum Colorado now.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Museum Colorado.
Through rebranding.
Yes.
But it's cool.
Yes.
It is. If you want to learn about us in the state, and
it's worth it.
I've never been.
Oh, okay. There's a video. There's a video for you and I. There's content for you and I.
I have not been in there, and I know people who work there. I know the revamp.
I'm going to take my sister to to Museum Colorado.
So.
Yep, there it is.
So anyway, I've never been.
Well, and after all of that, yes, we've got a very rich government history and all of that, and our state history is fantastic. That's not all that there is to do downtown.
No.
Okay, we have a very vibrant nightlife. We have a very robust restaurant culture.
Huge theater. And cultural district, amazing stuff. Broadway caliber.
I will say that we have one of the best national caliber performing arts groups.
Yes. Tony Award winning.
Yes, in the state. The Denver Center for the Performing Arts. I don't think they even call it that anymore.
It's DCPA, yeah.
Okay, it's still DCPA? I auditioned 3 times. 3 times. I didn't make it. But, anyway.
And there's like different theaters too. There's the ballet.
Yes.
There's the Buell.
Yes, the symphony.
There's the Betcher Concert Hall.
Yes.
And then there's Ellie Calkins.
Yes. So we have a world-class dance.
Oh, the ballet is
the world-class nice. Colorado Ballet is world-class. We have a world-class symphony. Oh. We have some of the best operas in the country. The performances that we get here and I'm going to start talking about Broadway shows.
Yeah.
We get some big ones here and big names. Criminy. I had the list in my head of some of the big names that were here.
One of my favorites that we saw was Jerry Lewis and Damn Yankees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Damn Yankees came through, and it was one of the last things that Jerry Lewis did because he played the devil.
And yeah. Okay.
He would like. There's a point in the part in that show where the devil just kind of vamps a little bit, and you never knew what you're going to get with him. And he would just take over the show, and you could have a 3-hour show, you could have a 5-hour show.
Exactly.
Because of what he would do, and it was so cool to see him live. I mean, and he's a big part of our childhood, and to see him live and
because
do that, it was
somebody hit the button on Jerry Lewis.
Crazy good.
And there he goes.
So good.
One of the things I do remember, this is not as big as Jerry Lewis. I can't remember the name of the actor in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Cameron, the guy who played Cameron.
Matthew Broderick.
No.
Oh, no, Cameron. Oh, yeah.
Cameron. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember it either.
I will figure it out and I will put it here. Anyway, he was in the production of The Producers. Mel Brooks, The Producers.
See that one.
Oh, yeah. We went there with friends.
Oh, cool.
It was fantastic. Now, the best Broadway show I have seen there, The Lion King.
Yes. I have two, but yes, The Lion King there is.
Yeah. I've also seen The Phantom. I've seen Phantom there.
Wicked.
I haven't seen Wicked yet. Okay.
Wicked is
I am defying gravity because I have not seen Wicked yet.
It is Wicked. It's a great show.
I know it's a great show, but
it always is around my birthday, and my friends would surprise. I had a group of friends that we would do surprise things for our birthdays, and we would do. They'd take me to the theater, and we'd always see Wicked because my birthday is October, and so we would. But Wicked, there's Lion King, fantastical.
Oh yeah,
so it's great.
That one, I'm sorry, but that one brings me to tears every time because for reasons.
I know.
For reasons.
We have reasons. No, it's just a great show, and it's small enough and it feels intimate enough in the theater. So when they actually come through with the puppets, you're like right on top of you and stuff. So it's
because
so
when
good.
That rhino comes down the aisle,
and the elephant.
Yes, the elephant, the rhino come down the aisle. The giraffes come across the stage.
The birds.
Oh, jeez.
So good.
The cheetah puppet.
Oh yeah.
The cheetah
and then they
puppet.
Bow.
Yes.
So good. It is so good. It's a great show.
And the zebras in the background. And
it's a great show. It is. If you haven't seen it, now, needless to say, the only Broadway shows I've ever seen have been in Denver. I've not been to Broadway, and I've not seen an original production. I've only seen traveling.
Same.
So it is on a bucket list that one day.
Oh yeah,
like
we've got to see. We've got to see it on Broadway. We got to go to see
something.
It. Yeah.
So.
Anyway, there's a huge.
So we're very cultural here in the Queen City.
Yes, but there is a huge nightlife. I mean, there are several dance clubs. And we even have a supper club, and I can't remember the name of it, but there is an actual supper club, and you have to make reservations for it.
There's some speakeasies too, but some of those didn't make it through COVID.
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit of things that didn't make it through COVID. That's the problem right now with downtown. Is
it's a big transition too.
We're still recovering from all of that because everybody wanted everything to come back, but they couldn't survive the downturn. They couldn't survive
it. Changes, so
yeah,
it'll come back. It'll bounce back, and there'll be new things.
But I mean, there. If you want to go dancing, or just if you are of that culture, there are places to go, places to be. Yeah,
and then there's places to go have a nice beverage after work, or have a little tapas bars and great food. There is a lot of great food downtown.
And I honestly think that a lot of travel folk, especially on the Travel Channel and all that, do not give Denver enough credit. I truly believe that. But of course, I'm biased, but
Yeah. We have a lot of, and it's, you just got to know where to look. The upside of that too is we have a pretty active, well, not pretty active. We're a sports town as well.
Oh man. Should I list them?
Well, but think about 2 of the major sports venues, 3 of the major sports venues are within 1 mile of the state capitol.
Exactly.
So when you go to watch an athletic event, you're going downtown. So that puts a lot of folks in there. So that's why there's a lot of things to do in there. So yes, go start listing them now.
Okay. Denver is the home or the headquarters for these sports teams. Of course, the Denver Broncos.
Super Bowl winning Denver Broncos.
That's right.
Not recently, I know. Don't get at me in the comments, but we have Super Bowl wins.
We've had a few years. We've had a few. In
it's
memory.
It's always going to be better next year.
In memory.
We got another season to try. All right.
Okay, we also have the Denver Nuggets.
World champion.
Denver Nuggets. That's right. We also have the Colorado Avalanche.
Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche.
That's right. Not this last season, but,
season before.
Yeah, I know.
Back to back.
Twice, even. There we are. We have the Colorado Rockies.
Who actually did go to the World Series.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. There you go. I was at the game where Todd Helton actually caught the ball and got us into the World Series. Okay. I was sitting in the Mile High seats at that time. I was like, yeah.
Now, there's a little bit of history here that I have to bring up about Colorado and Denver baseball specifically.
We're a baseball family, so we have a lot of fun.
Well, okay. I'm not really. I think the game is boring and dull. Okay.
But it's a part of our family history and lexicon. So
exactly. Okay. Before the Colorado Rockies was the Denver Bears.
I love Bears.
Which was a
AAA game.
Yeah.
They were a AAA team.
Yeah, they were the sub league.
They were a farm team for the Cubs.
Yes. Yeah, they were a farm team or a farm league. I remember several times going to see the Denver Bears play baseball. And I remember the big giant bag of popcorn that we brought in. It was my dad's idea.
We're not buying popcorn there. That's okay. Mom made better popcorn anyway, so let's
did,
just call it.
And I'm not. I'm just going to leave it right there. But that was our baseball team. It wasn't until very, very recently, and I'm saying recently by the 90s, where Denver got an actual major league team.
Yes.
And that was the Colorado Rockies. Now, our hockey team before that time was named the Colorado Rockies. That was our professional hockey team. And they played at McNichols Arena, the Big Mac, which doesn't exist anymore.
No, they plowed it.
Yeah, it's parking now.
It was old. It needed to.
Yeah. There was issues. There were issues. Anyway, so the Colorado Rockies were at one time the hockey team. Now they're the baseball team. Now the hockey team is the Avalanche. So we also have the Colorado Mammoth.
Yes.
Which is
they are
another champion team. Yes.
Mammoth.
They are the indoor lacrosse team. The outdoor lacrosse team are the Outlaws.
Actually, we don't have an outdoor team anymore.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, so they're one
time we had an outdoor team, so we don't have one anymore.
Yeah. We have a professional soccer team or European football team is the Colorado Rapids.
Yes. They actually were in the finals as well, but they didn't win. So
they
made
didn't.
The finals as well.
They got to the finals, and we're just going to applaud them for that because
I mean that's hard.
That's a rough league.
I'm not.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
That's a rough league.
So we're a big sports town. If you want a sport and want to watch professional sports, come on down.
Yeah, and most likely you'll find something that's on the Ocho. I mean,
there's something to do, and it's year round. There's a time of year where you can have hockey, basketball, and football all at the same time on the same day.
Exactly.
So hockey, football. I said baseball. I thought I'd said it wrong, but yeah, I mean it's great. If you're a sports fan, come on down. Yeah,
it's good. We got something for you.
We got something
and
for you.
Depending on the time of day, we most likely will have something going on.
Yeah. So it's good time. And like I said, most of that happens downtown or in that metro area. The soccer field actually is in our hometown.
Yes, in Commerce City.
It's about, You could actually hear it from our parents' backyard. You can hear the games and stuff.
And what's fun about that, it's also international.
Yes.
We get international teams
currently, what's going on? The women's national soccer team is playing their games currently.
Very nice.
At the recording of this podcast,
yes,
the women's national team is playing there. So
out at Dick's Arena.
Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods Park, yes. So yeah, that's really the rundown of Denver.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
If you were to tell somebody who is coming to Denver to visit what to do in Denver, what would you say?
Oh, for crying out loud. I'm sorry, I'm a museum kid. I'm going to say go to the museums.
Cool.
I'll go to City Park.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you got two bangers right there in City Park. You've got the Denver Zoo.
Ding-ding-ding.
And you've got the Museum of Nature and Science.
One of the best natural history museums, I think, in the country. And I'm like, fight me on that one. It's so good. 2
world-class facilities.
Yeah,
okay. I know, yes, I'm a native. I'm going to talk them up. But no, we are not the only ones that have been saying that. You know, well, it's not. It's the fact they have been rated as world-class facilities.
Yeah, we have a beautiful botanic gardens as well in downtown.
Yep. So. But my first thing and what I would do is I would always take them. Let's go to City Park. We'll have a picnic. We'll go to the zoo, and then we'll go to the museum.
Yeah.
And probably hit an IMAX show at the museum, or go to the planetarium there.
Good call.
You know, that's what I would do.
I like that you threw the picnic in there because if you want to know what our summers were like, he just rattled it off. We would do that so often.
And before we knew better, we would go feed the ducks.
Yeah. And the geese.
Yeah.
But now we don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that. But I do remember several summers being chased by geese.
Terrifying.
Well, I mean, they were more hiss than they were anything else. Because if you stopped, they were not going to continue. You know.
But we do have a beautiful city park.
Indeed, we do. Depending on my friend, or depending on my family member that's coming to visit, it would be a toss up of probably going to find someplace downtown to eat. I know Merida has opinions.
So I would give this. I'm gonna layer in on that and put my 2 cents in on it. Union Station.
Oh yeah. The
revamp of Union Station is impeccable, and it's heart of Denver.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. This is like I know, and it's not because it is because you're tied into it because that's what makes it better. But it is. There's cool eateries in there and cool lounges and neat ice cream and great restaurants on the outside. It gets you central Denver. You're within walking distance of Ball Arena, where the Nuggets, Avalanche, Mammoth play. You're within walking distance of the Coors Field, where the Rockies play. I mean, it is a great place, and there's hotels around there. I mean, it is, if you're going to go downtown and want to have a really centralized downtown experience, apart from where the Capitol's at and kind of down there, I would say the Union Station area. It's perfect.
Exactly. I 100% agree. And the other thing too is that this is where I'm going to do the lead in probably for the next episode on this. If someone was coming into town, what would be one of the first things that I would do? We'd probably take a drive to Estes.
Oh yeah, for like the state, like what are our big hits?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
Estes Park.
Denver, sure, I'm going to be able to find something to do. That's not the big issue.
But taking somebody to the mountain, like legit mountains. Denver is not in the mountains, everyone.
Yeah, no, we are not even really in the foothills.
We're not even in the foothills. We're minimum 45 minutes away before you even get to a foothills. Half an hour, I'll give you that.
Right.
But like legit mountains at altitude, anything above 8,000 feet, you're at least an hour-ish away. So we don't sit in the mountains.
Exactly. I would probably take them to Estes. Maybe actually, no, I don't know if I'd do that. I'd probably just take them up to Golden first, just to get them used to the idea.
I think Estes is a good idea.
Okay. Well, Golden's worth it too.
It is.
You know.
Well, now we're going to have a big battle of the bands, so to speak. Where do we go?
Yeah. And okay. I will not take them to Blackhawk or Central City.
Not to gamble, but there's some cool mining history there.
There is, but it's getting lost.
Yeah. You just have to be able to find it. But there's some neat there's some neat history in particular to bringing people in the mining and why Colorado, the boom that we had, those areas were big time.
And the mountain of Swiss cheese. and honestly, I would actually probably keep them on I-25 and keep going on I-25.
Georgetown.
Idaho Springs.
And then Georgetown.
Yeah. Idaho Springs first because we're going to go have lunch. We're going to have lunch at the original Bojo's.
Bojo's, yes.
Yeah, the original Bojo's pizza.
So there's your next episode. We're going to talk about the things that we would do.
Yes.
If we were going to plan a trip with somebody.
And that's why I wanted to lead into that, because that is going to be, we're going to branch out. Now, we are probably going to stay on the Front Range a little bit more. We're going to talk about Colorado Springs, talk about Fort Collins. Fort Collins is naturally, you're going to lead that. Colorado Springs, I'm going to take over because there's a lot of Colorado history, deep Colorado
history. Before
history.
Denver, that's where everything happened before Denver.
Exactly. And just because Colorado Springs and Manitou, I mean,
Garden of the Gods.
Yeah.
Cave of the Winds.
Cave of the Winds. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That whole valley.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's beautiful.
Up there to Winter Park.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Anyway.
We live in a cool place.
We live in one of the coolest places ever. And I'm just going to say it, but sorry, not sorry.
No, it's our backyard too. So like that's how we played when we were kids, and when people come here and visit, we've got some great things to do. So we're going to take you along with us and get you excited to come visit the Centennial State.
Because there is so much more.
Colorful Colorado.
There's so much. We haven't even talked about the elk in Estes Park yet.
We haven't even hit the mountains.
Exactly. And there's so much.
There's so much.
That's going
to be fun.
So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed the Disney stuff, but right now
we got to show off our state, Chuck. Let's just.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to get some trips in there and get some vlogs in there, and so.
Indeed. So look for more content. All right, folks. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.